Disclaimer, I am not sponsored by nor am I affiliated with any of the companies mentioned in this video. All opinions represented are mine and mine alone. They do not represent anyone besides myself. Your opinions may differ. That's okay. Try this stuff out for yourself in order to find out if it works for you. Hi everyone, it's me, Krista. If you've been here before, welcome back to my little art corner on YouTube. If you've never been here before, welcome for the very first time. Today I'm going to be doing a colored pencil drawing of a cat on some new watercolor paper I have. This is some watercolor paper that came in the January Artsnacks box. It is Stonehenge Aqua Coldpress paper, but it's in heavy. I wanted to see how well this could stand up to not just colored pencil, but also see how well it could stand up to using odorless mineral spirits as a way to blend said colored pencil. So the sketch itself is actually not done using colored pencil. I usually start my sketches for colored pencil drawings with pastel pencil. This one was specifically General's pastel pencil. Now I am switching over to a colored pencil. I'm also using a mono eraser to get into those thin lines because this is a tiny piece. It's like 1 by 3. But I do the initial sketch in pastel pencil because it's very easy to erase and it doesn't show through like graphite pencil does. I know they're not very popular anymore, but the colored pencils I am using for the most part are actually Prismacolor colored pencils. Most of them are from their old line from between like 2006 and 2009, and a couple of them are Prismacolor Premier. There are going to be some other brands randomly thrown in, and when those are used, I will bring up what brands those are. Also in the description, I am going to be including a list of all the colors I used in this drawing and a list of the supplies used in general. I'm also going to leave a link to the Artsnacks review for January that this paper came in. So as you've seen, I've been doing the background right after the sketch, and I've been layering a bunch of different colors. And right now in this video, I am using the odorless mineral spirits to blend out that background. You do need to make sure you have enough layers of colored pencil in order to do that. And remember, when you do layers, especially the beginning layers of colored pencil, you need to not have a heavy hand. Very, very lightly apply pressure. The odorless mineral spirits that I am using are of the Mona Lisa brand. You can also use paint thinner, just be careful because those definitely have an odor and are more toxic in general. The odorless mineral spirits are also toxic, but they do not give me a massive headache, so therefore I use them. And as you can see, I'm using a lot of different colors throughout different parts of the drawing. So far, I am not just using flat black. I am using blues and grays so far for the dark points. I will add black later, but you never want to just use straight black on white paper in a colored pencil drawing because it makes it look super duper flat. And I am using a lot of browns, creams, and grays for the actual fur part of this drawing. Which for me, this is actually fairly subdued with color. It's still very colorful, but for me, this is subdued. So what happens when you grow up on Rainbow Bright and Gem and the Holograms. But I am not only using tans, browns, and creams, and grays in the fur, I also bring in some purples, some blues, and some greens. Because I have that bright green in the background, and I need to just have that little bit extra kick of color to make the actual face of the cat stand out just a tiny bit. The reference for this cat is actually one of my cats. He is allegedly a tabby. That's what they said when we adopted him, but he's actually like a lower grade savanna cat. I did do a couple things in this to exaggerate certain features. I made the mouth seem wider instead of longer to give more of an impression of him smiling. And I did exaggerate the lynx-like tips on his ears, partially because it fills up the space more, but partially because it makes it look a little bit more fun and cartoony. but not overly so. I had a lot of fun with this drawing for a couple reasons. First of all, just the image itself was making me crack up pretty much the entire time I was drawing it, which is not something I typically experience. But also, I haven't used colored pencils in a really long time, and every time I use them, I just remember how much I enjoy them as a medium. I love the brightness, I love the different textures you can get, and I just love that illustrative quality, the sketchiness. I feel that especially for a drawing like this, it gives it an extra dimension of life. I think in acrylic painting, at least in the style I normally do those, this wouldn't have worked quite as well. And I'm pretty sure here soon we're getting into the non-Prismacolor colored pencils that I ended up using in this piece. The white pencil I used is by Caran and it's one of the Luminance pencils. I really like this white because it actually brightens up the image and looks white against other colored pencils. Instead of just barely lining it up, you can see in that tooth there that it was able to pull it right back up really well there. I'm also going back with my mono eraser to kind of clean up and erase little bits too, because it's so small and you get in there so easily. The other colored pencil that I use that's not Prismacolor is in black, and it just says Faber-Castell on it. This was actually left to me by a family member of mine that passed quite a few years ago, and a lot of the art supplies was from like the 70s and 80s, so this just says Faber-Castell. It doesn't say Polychromos or anything like that. I think this might have been before they broke off into different sections within the brand. I actually really enjoyed this Faber-Castell pencil in black. This is actually one of the first times I've used it because it's able to get a really nice sharp point because it's not quite as soft as the Prismacolors are, and I was able to get in some really good detail work with it that way. At this point of the drawing, I kind of have most of the base layers down, and I'm just adding a little bit more depth and going back and forth between the different pencils and trying to create more textures with slightly messier line marks, because with fur you can't have it be like all smooth and all blended out with the mineral spirits, because it's just not going to look like fur. It's just going to look like a smooth surface, and cats aren't smooth. They feel silky smooth, but they don't look smooth. Another non-Prismacolor colored pencil I used was actually on the tongue of the cat, and it is a Faber-Castell Polychromos in medium flesh. I was trying to read the Swiss version of that, and I was gonna be like Fleischer, but I'm like, no, it's medium flesh. And I just grabbed it because the color was the right color. I am slowly, as I use up my Prismacolors, I have a giant Prismacolor collection, so it's going to take a while to go through. I do like them, but I've noticed in the past couple years their quality has kind of gone down a little bit. Like I said, most of the ones I have are older. They're at least 10 years old for the most part. And I've been replacing certain colors as I've run out with either the Luminance pencils or the Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils. I want to use what I have first because I don't want to be wasteful, because I have a lot. I have way too many colored pencils. I don't even know. I don't literally know. It's hundreds. It has to be hundreds. I haven't counted them, and I'm not going to count them. But I'm going to use what I have first and then replace them as I need to. And the reason that I am not replacing the Prismacolor colored pencils with new Prismacolors is that they either changed something with their formula with their newer ones. Something happened. The quality is different with the newer Prismacolor colored pencils. They are not as good as they used to be. The reason these ones are working so well, I think, is because they're older. And it's one of those things where if there's something of similar quality or better that's a similar price point but is light fast, because Prismacolors are not light fast, why would you not switch over to something that might not break as often? Because Prismacolors, even the older ones, are prone to breaking because they are very soft. One way to prevent them from breaking as much is to use an electric pencil sharpener, which I do have one. That was one of the best Christmas gifts I ever got. Yes, I'm a nerd. Deal with it. But like I said earlier, I have way too many colored pencils already. I'm going to use what I have and slowly replace the colors with a different brand as I need to. And I guess this leaves me with the question, do you guys use Prismacolors? Or what colored pencil brands do you use? What do they work? How do they work? What's best for what kind of projects? How do you like to use them? Leave them in the comments down below. And I do want to point out that the further along I'm getting with the shading, the harder I am pressing. I'm not going to press hard enough to burnish until towards the end. Burnishing is where you press down really, really, really hard and blends out. And typically, at least with wax-based pencils, it also can make it a little shiny looking. And like I said earlier, I'm just going back and forth between the colors that I am using, blending them out a little bit, and just trying to get a tiny bit more depth. I know this is not light fast. I am using a white gel pen to help with certain highlights. I'm specifically using the Uni-ball. I'm specifically using the Uni-ball Signo broad white gel pen. This is actually the favorite gel pen of mine that I've ever used. I probably need a new one soon because I noticed it's not covering quite as well as it used to. And it covers pretty dark colors, and it's really good over acrylic and watercolor, and it works pretty well on colored pencil too, as you can see here. Well, this cat drawing's almost done. The conclusion is that this paper is freaking awesome. I really, really enjoy it. I need to get some full sheets. I wanted to see if it worked for colored pencil, and it does. It didn't crinkle. Nothing got messed up. It took a lot of color because I know sometimes with wax-based pencils there's a saturation point and sometimes it's very easy to hit. This paper can handle it. It can handle the odorless mineral spirits. I love this paper. I need more of it. I should buy some, like now. And also, I do want to point out that I did not tape this down to anything, and the paper itself did not warp. I want to reiterate this. I did not tape it down, and when I put on the odorless mineral spirits and let it dry, it did not warp the paper. That's awesome. Once again, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any questions, feelings, concerns, comments, please leave them down in that comment section down below. If you liked this video, hit that like button. If you disliked it, go ahead and hit that dislike button. If you want to see more videos like this, please hit that subscribe button, and hopefully I will see you guys soon.